Audience, I speak English. The issue that I want to raise here is the issue of globalization, reverse globalization, and Islamophobia. Unfortunately, for the last 3 decades, we are observing a serious Islamophobia around the world. By emergence of globalization as a result of advancement of transport system and emergence of instant communication industry, which made the world smaller. The transport system made the world smaller in the physical world. And instant communication industry made the world in the second world, which we call it virtual world, almost on the basis of click of mouse. So we are observing a serious neighborhood. In one aspect, we can say that these days all people of the world look like neighbors. They are beside each other. They are living side by side in the second world. So this is the tools and this is the environment that if somebody wants to control it, it has a better chance of control. If we talk about globalized world in the physical world and in world, then Islamophobia can be discussed on the basis of globalization. I have to say that representation and representation that happen in the media made a serious challenge for Muslims all around the world. After the September 11th, you can see that Islam and Muslims has been encoded by lots of phobic factors, by lots of phobic pictures. Whenever, if you search Islam and Muslim, for example, in Google, the first 100 items that you see is almost very phobic. Where is Google and where is YouTube and where is Twitter, MSN, Yahoo? They are all comes from California. I wrote a book recently on the virtual colonialism of the United States. And what I mean by virtual colonialism is a third sort of colonialism of the world on the basis of the websites. I call it empire website in the world. Before we were observing Hollywood, these days we are observing Webbywood. And what I mean by Webbywood is domination of the whole aspects of life and the reference to the web empires like Google, YouTube, Twitter, MSN, Yahoo, Wikipedia, and so on. So when you search Islam and Muslim on Google, you see the first hundreds pictures or the first hundreds news comes up is very against Islam and Muslim. We have 2 words in media studies. One is representation and the second is representation. Representation when they reproduce something on the media. Representation use the reality as an element of showing something in the society. They use part of the reality as a whole reality. For example, Akbar Ahmad made a documentary about Islam in the world. He called it Islam in the World as a books and as a documentary. When he comes to Iran, he goes, the camera of the Akbar Ahmad on the representation of BBC goes to the Kurdistan of Iran and show Darawish in Kurdistan, who put the knife in the face, and then he put the subtitle Islam in Iran. This is not Islam in Iran. But they present it as Islam in Iran. They show Bin Laden as a symbol of somebody who is very violated, and then they say Bin Laden is equal to all Muslim and all Muslim is equal to all. And this is happened when the representation is very strong. They gain out of this representation. Representation means this element is representing the whole society. One person representing all Muslims. This is combination of representation and representation. For all 2 decades, this representation and representation against Muslim happen. What is the result? This media domination, this virtual colonialism, and these which justified the war against Muslims in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and in many parts of the world. It started long time ago. Palestine is a symbol of demonization of Muslims, which for 60 years they are demonizing Palestine. And they are continuing this demonization. I think what happened in the Egypt, in Tunisia, in Libya, and in many parts of the Muslim world is reaction to this injustice manner against the Muslim, either with the Western policy or by the representative in the Islamic countries. The dominant power in the Islamic countries are not really part of the Muslim world. They are representing the Western policy. They are representing the Western domination policy. So what should be the reaction? The reaction is an angry society. The reaction is an unhappy society. The reaction is a society which is desiring that Islam is governing the whole society, the real Islam. The Islam which is according to the tradition of peace be upon him. Traditional rule of Islam doesn't have domination policy at all. From my understanding, Islam is not ideology. Islam is a tradition of Prophet, peace be upon him. And on that tradition, there is no domination policy. Huwal Muta'ali. Allah is the only source of ruling the society. Allah is the only source of governing the society, and according to the God's tradition, we can be hopeful that we can observe the healthy society and peaceful society. And I have to say one thing as a last word, that unfortunately there are 2 policies working together for conversion of Muslim lands. One is pushing policy. Pushing policy is Islamophobia. I was in Canada last September, and they stopped me in the airport for 4 hours. They checked my laptop, my mobile, and everything I had. I was talking with Muslim brothers in Canada, and they were telling me, some of them, that we are going to change our name, because the soon we are Muhammad, the soon we are Masood or Ali. They are starting demonizing us because of our name, even if they have Canadian passport. Even if they have European passport, they are demonizing them because of their name. They are demonizing Muslim in the media. They are demonizing Muslim in the airport. They are demonizing Muslim by a search policy. A stop and search policy is a rule that they stop Muslims, and they can put the Muslim in Europe in the jail, and for 6 months nobody can question this system, why you put this person in the jail. This is a pushing policy. And the pulling policy is democratization of the world, is liberalization of the world, using nice word to explain how pleasant word is the West. I was in Germany in University of Potsdam, and I told to the German friends, what do you think if I talk about democratization of Germany, Islamic republicization of Germany? I told them, what do you think if I talk about Islamic republicization of Germany? They said, no, we don't want it. I said, how about when you talk about democratization of Iran, democratization of Libya, democratization of Egypt? They don't say the first two words. The first two words is American liberal democratization of Iran.